In a world where power is shifting and loyalties are realigning, a silent but undeniable wave is sweeping across nations. Countries once firmly rooted in alliances with the United States are now tilting eastward, embracing China's expanding influence with open arms. This isn't just about trade deals or political visits, it's about a dramatic change in global priorities, values, and partnerships. Why are so many countries now finding China more appealing than the United States? Is this a temporary pivot or a lasting transformation of the world order? In today's deep dive, we'll take you through 10 countries that are increasingly choosing China over the US, one move at a time. Each case is unique, yet all tell a story of ambition, strategy, and shifting global dynamics. Stay until the end to understand the deeper consequences this has on geopolitics, and why the future might belong to the East. So, let's explore the countries making this monumental switch. Number 10. United Arab Emirates. The UAE's increasing engagement with China reflects its desire to balance traditional ties with the US against new global realities. Chinese tech giants are expanding in the Emirates, Huawei is involved in critical infrastructure, and Chinese language education is growing. The UAE even joined the BRICS alliance, a move seen as symbolic of its shifting allegiance. While military ties with the US remain strong, the Emirates are clearly hedging their bets. China's focus on innovation, trade, and soft power aligns with the UAE's ambition to become a global tech and financial hub. Beijing offers the UAE something the US does not, an equal partnership without lectures. Number 9. Cambodia. Cambodia's pivot to China is both deep and strategic. Once reliant on Western aid, Cambodia now finds Beijing far more accommodating. China has transformed Sihanoukville into a booming economic hub and is rumored to be building a naval facility that could serve both civilian and military purposes. Prime Minister Hun Sen has openly declared his preference for Chinese support over Western conditionality. As a result, Cambodia has repeatedly backed China in regional disputes, especially in ASEAN forums. While the US criticizes the Cambodian government's authoritarian tendencies, China applauds its stability, making Beijing a far more attractive partner. Number 8. Serbia. Serbia's tilt toward China reveals how Beijing is making deep inroads into Europe itself. Once a region where US and EU influence was dominant, parts of Eastern Europe are now embracing Chinese partnerships. Serbia has welcomed Chinese investments in railways, steel, and technology. It has even deployed Chinese surveillance systems in its capital. President Aleksandar Vučić has repeatedly called China a true friend, especially during times when Western powers seem to sideline the country. While Serbia still maintains relationships with the West, its growing economic dependency on China and frequent praise of Xi Jinping's leadership paint a clear picture of shifting loyalties. Number 7. Egypt. Egypt's growing relationship with China marks a major shift in Middle Eastern politics. Traditionally a recipient of substantial American military aid, Cairo is now diversifying its alliances. Chinese companies are building Egypt's new administrative capital, investing in ports, and offering advanced surveillance systems. Beijing's appeal lies in its efficiency, discretion, and lack of political conditions. The US continues to pressure Egypt over human rights issues, while China provides funding with a smile. President El-Sisi has made no secret of his admiration for the Chinese governance model, seeing in it a blueprint for stability and economic development that he believes the US cannot offer. Number 6. Indonesia. Indonesia, Southeast Asia's largest economy, has become a strategic playground for both the US and China, but the scales are tipping eastward. President Joko Widodo's administration has welcomed Chinese investment in major infrastructure projects, from high-speed railways to industrial parks. The Belt and Road Initiative is thriving in Indonesia, while American investment has remained relatively cautious. Beyond economics, Indonesia also sees China as a vital player in regional diplomacy. While concerns exist over Beijing's behavior in the South China Sea, Jakarta often prefers dialogue over confrontation, a stance more in line with China's diplomatic tone than the US assertiveness. Number 5. South Africa. South Africa's increasing alignment with China signals a broader shift on the African continent. As a member of the BRICS alliance, Pretoria views Beijing as a partner in challenging Western dominance. China has invested heavily in South African infrastructure, telecommunications, and mining, bringing jobs and development that many Western powers have failed to deliver. Unlike U.S. diplomacy, which often includes demands around human rights or governance reforms, China's engagement is purely transactional, and that appeals to many African leaders. South Africa's participation in joint military drills with China and Russia, along with public praise of Beijing's leadership, underscores the seriousness of this pivot. Number 4. Russia. Russia's pivot to China is one of the most significant geopolitical developments of the modern era. As its relationship with the West deteriorated due to sanctions and conflicts, particularly in Ukraine, Moscow turned eastward. The result is an unprecedented level of cooperation between two former Cold War adversaries. Today, China and Russia conduct joint military exercises, coordinate energy pipelines, and present a united front in global institutions. While their alliance is based more on strategic necessity than deep trust, the fact remains, Russia now sees China as its most reliable partner in a world where American-led sanctions seek to isolate it. Together, they're building an alternative world order, one where Western influence is diminished. Number 3. Iran. Iran's relationship with the United States has long been strained, and that tension has driven Tehran straight into Beijing's embrace. In recent years, the two countries signed a multi-decade strategic partnership that spans energy, defense, and intelligence cooperation. China is helping Iran weather sanctions by buying its oil and investing in its crumbling infrastructure. While the West isolates Tehran, China offers access to global markets and high-tech solutions. This alignment isn't just out of convenience, it reflects a shared opposition to American dominance. Iran sees China not only as an economic partner but as a global counterweight to U.S. influence, providing it both legitimacy and leverage on the world stage. Number 2. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's deepening ties with China may come as a surprise to those who see it as a traditional U.S. partner. But beneath the surface, Riyadh is charting a new course. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030 plan aims to diversify the kingdom's economy, and China plays a central role in that vision. From green energy projects to AI and surveillance technologies, Chinese firms are becoming major players in Saudi markets. On the political front, China has also brokered regional peace deals, including between Saudi Arabia and Iran, something Washington failed to achieve. The kingdom sees Beijing as a rising power that respects sovereignty, avoids moral lectures, and brings capital with fewer strings attached. Number 1. Pakistan. Pakistan's alignment with China is now more than a friendship, it's a strategic necessity. What began as a cooperation on infrastructure projects has now become a deep-rooted economic and defense relationship. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, is only the tip of the iceberg. While U.S. aid has fluctuated over the decades, Beijing has presented itself as a consistent partner, promising connectivity, technology, and investment. More importantly, China has refrained from interfering in Pakistan's internal affairs, something Islamabad deeply appreciates. This hands-off approach, paired with generous financing and military collaboration, has led to a clear pivot. Washington's warnings about debt traps fall on deaf ears in Islamabad, where leaders increasingly see China not just as an ally, but as a lifeline. As we look across the globe, it becomes undeniable, the U.S. is no longer the only game in town. China's rise has brought with it a new kind of diplomacy, calculated, strategic, and often more appealing to countries seeking development without interference. This shift isn't just about economics or technology, it's about influence, respect, and a new vision of global leadership. The United States still holds immense power, but its dominance is being challenged in ways that would have seemed impossible a decade ago. The world is no longer unipolar. It's dynamic, competitive, and increasingly divided between East and West. And as these 10 countries show, the tide is quietly turning. If you found this exploration eye-opening, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to InfoSphere. We bring you real, raw insights into the changing world you live in. The global map is being redrawn, are you watching closely?